Hey, what's up? So, quick question for you. How many times have you had a long conversation with AI, whether it be ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, Gemini, and you're talking about an idea, a project, a business, a video idea, or something that you're just trying to figure out, right? But then later, instead of starting a brand new chat, you just go back to the same old conversation and just keep adding new questions to it. And I ask that because I do this all the time. And I think that's because once a conversation gets deep enough, it kind of starts to feel like the chat understands the project. It knows what we've already talked about, right? It knows the ideas that I liked, right? It knows the directions that I rejected. It knows the way that the conversation developed over time. And honestly, sometimes starting a new chat feels like starting over with a substitute teacher. That new chat may understand the basic premise, but it doesn't feel like it was there for that whole conversation, for that whole discussion. But after a while, there's another problem, right? I don't just end up having like one or two of these long conversations. I have a lot of them. Some are within projects, some are buried in old chat histories. Some have a lot of useful ideas inside them, but I don't remember where those ideas are. So in this video, I want to show you how to take those lost conversations, right, and turn it into a certain type of file that you add to NotebookLM, and a few prompts that I'm going to share with you that can turn those old chats into a searchable idea bank. And don't worry, there's going to be a free Notion doc that you're going to be able to download, and you're going to be able to get these prompts. So with that being said, let me continue sharing my screen here, and let's go over this. So even when I create a summary, the summary usually captures the big picture, but it usually misses the smaller things that may actually be useful to me later, right? Things like hooks, video angles, it could be titles, half-finished ideas, explanations, frameworks, or random side ideas or side thoughts that actually could become something useful. So in this video, I want to show you a different way to think about these old conversations, because they're not just old chats, they're source material. And with a clean markdown file and NotebookLM, you can turn these old conversations into an actual searchable idea bank. Now, this is not going to be a super technical tutorial. You don't need to know how to write markdown, right? You do not need to know how to organize your entire AI history, and you won't need to watch me go through 20 different examples. I just want to show you the basic process and give you those 3 prompts that you can use inside NotebookLM, and then you can go and try these with your own conversations, all right? So, moving on. Most people, and I'm sorry, there's a thunderstorm going on right now. I did not expect that. But anyway, most people use AI conversations like they're temporary, right? You ask a question, you get an answer, maybe you copy the final result, and then you move on. However, if you're using AI for brainstorming or for planning or for content, business ideas, research, writing, problem solving, the conversation itself actually becomes very valuable, not just the final answer. The whole entire conversation is going to contain a lot of useful material. For instance, it can show you what you were thinking, what the AI suggested, what you didn't accept, what you rejected, what you liked, what got repeated, what never got chosen or finished, and then also what could become future content for yourself, right? So instead of treating an old AI chat like a dead conversation, let's start to treat it like raw material, right? The old mindset is this was just a chat. I want you to think of the new mindset like this is source material that I can actually mine through later. And that's where NotebookLM becomes really useful. See, NotebookLM is not just a place to continue the chat. In this workflow, I'm using it to study the chat. I'm giving NotebookLM the old conversation as a source and then asking it to help me kind of extract what's useful from that. So Here's the whole process, right? Step one, you're going to pick a long conversation, or you can pick a few related conversations. Step two, you're going to ask the AI to actually package that conversation into a clean markdown file. The third step is that you're going to save that file somewhere organized, like probably Google Drive, and then you're going to add those files to NotebookLM as a source. Step five is you're going to use NotebookLM prompts to extract ideas, to organize those ideas, and turn them into something useful. And that's really it. The file gets the conversation into NotebookLM. The prompts unlock the value that's kind of been hidden inside. So the first thing that I would do is start small. Don't try to upload your entire AI conversation history. Don't try to clean up every conversation that you've ever had. Just pick one topic from your conversations. For example, maybe you have a long conversation about YouTube channel ideas or a business idea, content strategy, a project, newsletter, right? Anything where the conversation gets deep enough that useful ideas can be buried inside, right? You can start with one conversation, or you can have a few related conversations. Use 3 to 4 or 5 of them, right? The important thing is that they should be connected by the same general topic, which is what makes NotebookLM much more useful because it can see patterns across these actual sources. So now we need to get the conversation out of the chat window. So for this, I asked the AI to package the conversation into a clean markdown file. So don't overthink the word markdown, right? I don't want you to worry about that. For this workflow, just think of it as basically a clean text file that keeps the structure. It preserves the headings, it preserves lists, speaker labels, the full transcript, right? And here's the prompt that I would use, right? So you can see it right on the screen right now, but again, I'm going to share this directly in the Notion document. Now, what I like about this prompt is that it gives you more than just a transcript. It gives you a clean file with some really useful sections at the top and then the full conversation below it. And that matters because later when NotebookLM reads the file, it has the full conversation, but it also has some structure to it, right? And that makes it a lot easier to mine the conversation for that useful material that you're looking for. Once the file's created, again, save it somewhere that you can find it. For me, I use Google Drive because it makes sense because I can keep all the files together in that folder. And you can have a folder called something like AI Conversation Archive, Content Idea, whatever you want to call it, right? The name doesn't matter as much as having one place where these files can be stored and where they live, right? Now, open up NotebookLM, create a new notebook, and give it a simple name based on the project. For example, Craig Does AI Idea Bank, right? Could be mine, right? Then you're going to add your markdown files or markdown files as a source. And if you have a few, you add all of them. At this point, NotebookLM is not just looking at a random prompt, it's looking at your entire conversation history as actual source material. And this is where the workflow starts to become really useful. The file gets the old conversations into NotebookLM, but the prompts are what help you extract the value, extract that gold, mine that gold from it. So here's the 3 prompts that I would start with. Okay, the first prompt is not about creating the idea bank yet. First, I want NotebookLM to kind of tell me what kind of material is inside the sources, because this is what helps me understand what I'm actually going to work with. So there's the prompt, right? Again, it's going to be in the Notion document, so feel free to grab that once this video is done. It's free. I don't ask for emails or anything like that, right? Now, this prompt is useful because it gives you a quick overview. Before you ask NotebookLM to extract a whole bunch of ideas, you want to know what it sees in that source material that you've given it, right? It may tell you that the conversation contains video ideas, audience problems, product ideas, recurring questions, unfinished frameworks, right? This is what gives you a better starting point. It's kind of like me asking, what am I working with here, right? So now, once Notebook LM gives you the source scan, now you can ask it to create the actual idea bank. And this is the main prompt for that. This is the one that turns the old chats into something useful, right? And now this is where the transformation happens. Instead of manually scrolling through a long chat, Notebook LM can pull out the useful material that's actually hiding inside of it. And the important thing is that you're not asking Notebook LM to invent it from scratch. You're asking it to mine the ideas that already came up in these conversations. That's the difference. You're not saying, give me random video ideas, for example. You're saying, look at these conversations I already had and help me find the useful ideas within them. And that's why it can be so powerful, because sometimes your best idea is not the final answer. It might be something that came up halfway through that conversation. It might be a side comment. It might be a little title that AI suggested that you ignored, right? It might be a problem you mentioned but never turned into actual content, or an explanation that could become a tutorial. This prompt helps surface all of that. Now, after Notebook LM creates the idea bank, you may have a lot of material, and that can be helpful, but it can also become a bit overwhelming. So the third prompt is about ranking the ideas and turning them into the next actions. Because the goal is not just to collect more ideas. The goal is to know what to actually do with them. So here's the prompt. One more time, I'll mention it. It's going to be in the Notion doc, so don't worry if you didn't copy it down. You'll be able to grab that right away. So moving on. This prompt helps turn the idea bank into something practical, because more ideas are not always the answer. Sometimes more ideas just create more confusion. So I want Notebook LM to help me sort the ideas. Which ones are worth using soon? Which ones should I save? Which ones should be combined, or what should I ignore, right? The last category is actually important, because not every idea really deserves your full attention. So some of the ideas sounded good maybe in the middle of a brainstorming session, but they're not actually worth acting on. So this prompt helps you move from those buried ideas to the usable next steps. Now, once Notebook LM gives you the ranked ideas, you can use the output in a few different ways. You can copy it into Google Docs, you could put it into a Google Sheet, add it to Notion, you could give it to ChatGPT, Claude, or any other AI model and ask it to help you turn one of these ideas into a script, an outline, an email, project plan, whatever. Notebook LM does not have to be the final destination. In fact, in this workflow, Notebook LM is the extraction tool. It helps you pull the value out of the old conversations. Then you can decide where that value goes next. Now, there are a few mistakes that I would try to avoid. First, don't upload everything all at once. Start with one topic and a small number of conversations, or just one, right? And second, do not make the prompts too vague. If you ask, what do you think? You'll probably get a general answer, right? But if you use Notebook LM to scan, extract, organize, and rank, the output will be much more useful, right? Third, don't assume that every old idea is automatically good. And I know I just mentioned that, because Notebook LM can surface the ideas, but you still need to judge them. Fourth, do not spend too much time worrying about Markdown. The file format is just the actual container, right? It's the format that keeps it nice and formatted and basically pretty, right? The real value is the conversation itself and the prompts that you use to work with it. So again, the basic workflow is very simple. Take a long AI conversation, package it into a clean Markdown file, save it somewhere organized, then add it to Notebook LM. Then use the 3 prompts. First, you run the source scan. Second prompt, create the master idea bank. And then third, rank the ideas and turn the best ones into next actions. That's really the whole workflow. Old AI chats become source files. NotebookLM helps you mine those sources. And the result is a searchable idea bank that you can use for content, for business ideas, newsletters, products, projects. The goal is not just to save the old chats. The goal is to recover the value that's hidden inside them. Because your next good idea may not be something that you need to create from scratch. It may already be sitting in a conversation that you had several days, weeks, or even months ago. You just needed a better way to find it. So try this. Try it with just one AI conversation. Don't overcomplicate it. Just see how it works for you. Find that one good chat that has good ideas in it. Turn it to a markdown file. Add it to NotebookLM. Run the prompts and see what comes out. I think you're going to be really surprised by how much useful material that you've already created and probably forgot about, right? So with all that being said, I hope this was useful. I hope you go out and try it. Please let me know how this works for you. Please let me know if this is something that you've tried before. I have actually some follow-ups to this video as well that I think are going to be really cool. But other than that, thanks so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. I will see you on the next video. This is Craig, and take care.